on my butt. The worst thing in the world was to be lazy and tired. And so the same stigma that was put on, it was the behavior that led to the disease and not an infectious agent. So NIAID was essentially nothing then, but this gave, you know, the DTP injury, diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis, was causing, that vaccine was causing a great deal of injury in the late 70s and early 80s. And that's in the book as well. And you can, maybe you'd like to have on your show Michael R. Hugo, the attorney that after he saw the first book, he called me up and he said, "You have no idea what you stepped in." And I said, "No, I have no idea. Why don't you tell me?" And this man's a fabulous story. I had nowhere to go. I'm literally on house arrest and for 5 years. I can't talk to anybody. So anyway, so that now the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease is essentially next to the National Cancer Institute, everything. You know, he really controls NIH. Yes, Collins, Francis Collins, the head of the NIH, is Tony Fauci's puppet. And I'm sorry that I have, you know, there's a lot of data to suggest that. He's a good man. He's not an evil man. He can't conceive of some of this. He's directing, and, you know, in September when I gave the talk and he asked the question, September 6th of 2010, about this other family of mouse viruses jumping into humans, Francis Collins said, where did you get the controls? Where did you get your healthy controls? And I said, the blood supply of London. So we've got 4% in the blood supply of London. Again, this is 25 times HIV, which was never more in our blood supply, never approaching even 1%. And even less, we don't even test for HTLV, or at least we hadn't for the last few years. So these things don't end up in the blood supply because our immune systems can really handle it as long as you educate the immune system to do that. And it's never been with a vaccine, despite trillions of dollars that Tony Fauci's been paid to develop vaccines for these viruses. That's under his control.
That's under his control.
The entire vaccine program, which started in 1999, under his control.
So let me ask you, going back to it during the AIDS, just out of curiosity, was there ever a shutdown when that pandemic took place? Did U.S. ever shut down the way we are shut down today?
Oh, absolutely not.
Absolutely not. So
No,
everything was business as usual. So for somebody like you watching this from then, working with Dr. Anthony Fauci, you know, where you had some kind of a relationship going back and forth with him, and seeing him get promoted to the director, then now seeing the recommendation with shutting down all of it, what are you thinking seeing these two things taking place?
Well, you know, I'm incredibly angry because it has no basis in science. And even more important than in 1983 and 84, we only thought certain behaviors caused this. But again, in 2011, with our paper on the new family of these contagious cancer-causing viruses, and they didn't do anything to give safety. They actually downgraded it to biosafety level 2. We didn't wear a mask ever in my laboratory for HIV. You don't wear a mask because you don't touch your face. Never wore a mask with all 30 years of research. And here we have cancer-causing mouse viruses, which were called biosafety